Morning, everyone. Thank you for coming along. Just going to wait a few more minutes in case we have anyone that's still rushing into work and signing in. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, welcome everyone to the Asia by Rail webinar this morning. I hope you all had a nice Easter last week, and for those of you who saw the Game of Thrones excitement last night, it was the first episode I've ever seen. It was quite gruesome, wasn't it? Right, so this morning we have Sophia on the line as well, helping me out in Australia. So if you have any questions as we go, feel free to ask. The Asia by Rail is quite an interesting topic that a lot of people didn't know that we do quite a bit in Asia. So firstly, we'll talk about where customers can travel to in Asia, where we sell. We'll touch more on Japan and China, so they're quite popular for selling, and your tips and tricks to sell for there. And then I'll also touch briefly on the luxury rail journeys that we offer in Asia as well. So getting started, we have where can your customers travel to? So all of these Asian destinations we do sell: Japan, China, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Myanmar, and Central Asia. So not all of them are point-to-point tickets or rail passes. Some of them will be luxury itineraries or journeys or packages. But we do sell trains within all of these areas. If there is anyone that needs to go to a certain location, give us a bell and see if we can do that for you. So firstly, Japan. So Japan's high-speed rail is a fantastic network. Shinkansen trains are what they are called. So they are their high-speed bullet trains. They are very fast, so they operate up to a maximum of 320 k's an hour. So they're well known for their bullet status. Delays are really rare in Japan, so it's great timetable to run on. They're probably an average delay of less than 1 minute. If it's 1 minute or after, you'll generally find that they will announce a public apology as well. So definitely very rare to have a delay on any Japanese trains. There's two different classes of travel on these trains, first and second basically, and passes are cheaper than separate tickets. So this is really important to note that a lot of people don't realise until they get there that point-to-point tickets are very expensive, and rail passes can only be purchased here before they leave. They can't be purchased locally. So as an example, I just looked up the Tokyo to Osaka fare as a point-to-point ticket is about 14,000 yen one way, which is the equivalent of just under 200 New Zealand dollars for a one-way ticket. So highly recommend getting a rail pass. The rail passes come in 7, 14 or 21 days, but even if they're doing 1 or 2 sectors, they will need it. So they're extremely efficient. They're the easiest way to travel from city to city, obviously with the delays being rare, etc. as well. So there's a few different passes to choose from. There's up to about 6 rail passes to choose from in Japan. The biggest question we get is what pass do they need, and people get a little bit confused. I would firstly go to the Your World on Track brochure to look at the colour coding, which is similar to this map. which should be able to help you work out where they need, what pass they need. Majority of the time they will actually need neither of these passes, and they'll need a full Japan Rail pass. So these are all the different areas. So you've got the Hokkaido, the Kansai, the Northern, etc. All those different areas if they are going into one select area just for that time. Majority of people are generally doing Tokyo to Osaka at some point. This warrants a full Japan Rail pass. So not on this page, but a full Japan Rail pass is basically traveling anywhere in Japan. And as I said, they come in 7, 14 or 21 days, and they are only consecutive passes, so no flexi passes. It will roll from day 1 to day 7, for example. Even if they're not using it every day, they are so much cheaper on a rail pass that it's worth getting. They can only purchase Japan Rail passes up to 3 months prior. So that's important to note. If you do come through to us earlier, we can schedule it to come back to you within about 3 months before they leave, but just important to know it can't be purchased up to the 11-month mark like European rail passes. Also, a good tip for Japan is the website Hyperdia, so hyperdia.com. This website you can't book anything on, but they can see schedules. So you can see and try and plan a customer's journey if you want to, of when trains depart, etc. So that's a good website to know of. Now, our next page is the Suica card. So this is pretty much like your London Oyster card. It is the way of getting around the metro in Tokyo. So the rail pass won't work on the metro in Tokyo. You will need a Suica card. Really helpful to get this from us before they go. We do have the physical stock in the office. They don't need to exchange it for a card once they get there. It's already preloaded with 1,500 credit in yen. And the Suica card not only allows them all around the metro, but it does also allow them to purchase from vending machines and on the train as well. So that credit can be used for food and drinks in the metro and on the train too. You can load it as many times, top it up as much as you want, up to a maximum of 20,000 yen at automated machines in the metro, and really easy to use. But if anyone is going to Tokyo, they're probably going to want to use the metro to get around, and this is definitely worth it. You can get this card under the sightseeing tab on our website. The preloaded one that we give out is about $37 for 1,500 yen credit. Japan airport coach transfers are possible as well. So these are a limousine bus service, and it's operated by the leading operator of airport transport in Tokyo. So it is quite a popular way of getting from and to Narita Airport to hotels, especially if they want door-to-door service. This is the way to go. So they can book that through us quickly and easily first. They don't need to line up once they get there to book their ticket. Also, it is a specific ticket, a full ticket when they arrive. It is not an exchange voucher, so they have the ticket ready to get on the coach. Important to note that you can also use the Narita Express on the rail pass if they want to. Obviously it's not door to door, but if they don't want to do door to door and don't want to use the coach, they can use the rail pass on the Narita Express. However, that will start their day of self-travel. So for example, it will start day 1 just to use that Narita Express. If they're going into overnight, I probably wouldn't do that. If they're going into the city to then go out again, you probably want to use the rail pass for your day of travel. But this is really a good way of getting there door to door, when a lot of people do want that, so they don't have to find their way from the station. And this is under sightseeing on our website as well. So a few tips before you go to Japan. Seat reservations can only be booked locally. So these are free of charge and you can book them at the station. I believe they have reserved and unreserved carriages, so you can choose to reserve or not. But once again, in first or second class. Remember that we only sell rail passes. You can't book point-to-point tickets in Japan. Now, the rail pass cannot be used on Nozomi or Mizuho trains. So this freaks people out a little bit, but these trains only operate on the Tokyo to Osaka route, and there are plenty of other trains that run at the same timing, just not these two. So these two are basically sort of a private train that are more for business or corporate travellers. They don't really want tourists on it. They maybe take 5 to 10 minutes quicker time than the others, so there really is no benefit to them. And it is important to know that there's plenty of other trains operating that the rail pass will work on, just not available on these two. And passes can't be purchased locally, so especially people going to World Cup or anything soon, make sure they've got the rail pass before they go. They can't get it locally. So China by rail. So China was relatively new for us in the last year or so, but it is a really beneficial to get it done before they go, because it is very busy. So 5 facts about China Rail is the high-speed trains run between 200 and 350 k's an hour, and they have a few different types of trains. So they have a bullet train, and then they have another high-speed train, and then a slower train. So quite a few different types, which I'll talk about in a moment. There's multiple departures a day, so they're really flexible. Especially between your popular cities, you can choose the most suitable one according to your schedule. A lot of this works really well for corporate travellers as well before they go. As with Japan, they're very rare delays. So unlike airplanes and normal speed trains, high-speed trains in China have priority over a normal speed train on the same railway line. So very rare delays. And they're also modern onboard facilities. So not all the hard-seater trains that many think of when they think of China. They're new and modern and very comfortable as well. So these are your types of high-speed trains in China. So you have what's called a G, D, and C type train. So as you see on the right, there's many different cabins and classes to choose from, but they're all very comfortable. So your G-speed trains go up to 350 k's an hour. So these will be your bullet-shaped trains, which are white. Then you have your slightly slower 250 km trains, and then your slower 200k trains. So the facilities and appearance of the trains are very similar. The facilities on board, they all have a restaurant, car, your air-conditioned, adjustable seating, power sockets, etc. It's just the speed that they go at. So for an example, a G-speed train from Beijing to Shanghai will take only about 4 hours and 50 minutes. A D train will take 11 hours and 50 minutes. And a normal speed train will take more than 15 hours. So there's quite a few different ways of getting from and to destinations. For example, so you're obviously wanting to get in the high-speed train if it is possible. So these can only be booked 30 days in advance in China. They're instant purchase tickets, so you can come through by email or phone. You can't book them online. We do have a ground supplier over in China who's very fast at quoting and booking, but they can only be done 30 days in advance. They're point-to-point tickets only. We can't sell rail passes within China, so the opposite of Japan. And all tickets are a little bit different in that they're delivered to their hotel in China. So they don't get their tickets before they depart. They get them once they arrive at their hotel. If we have to, we'll send them to an airport or a specific location if they're not staying at a hotel, but obviously somewhere secure that we can send them to. So now we'll talk about quickly the luxury rail journeys in Asia. So there's quite a few of these. So we've got the Eastern and Oriental that operates between Singapore and Bangkok. We've got the SARS Gold between Beijing and Moscow. We have the Road to Mandalay, and we have the Golden Eagle luxury trains as well. So we'll just talk about those to end. So the Eastern and Oriental Express runs between Singapore and Bangkok. It's 2 nights in the direction of Singapore to Bangkok, or it's 3 nights from Bangkok to Singapore. There's a range of cabin types available, all very luxurious. and there's a few what's called signature journeys. So one of these, the popular one, is the Fables of the Peninsula, which is only one departure a year. So it's a bit like the Venice Simplon Orient Express running to Istanbul that only departs once a year. The signature journey on the Eastern and Oriental is also the same, once a year, so you have to be well in advance for this one. So sorry, the inclusions on the Eastern Oriental are you get a 24-hour steward, you get obviously your breakfast, your 3-course lunch, your 4-course dinner, and all of your beverages are included in this as well. A few different luxury trains don't always include beverages, this one does. You've got a guided cruise on the River Kwai and of the War Museum, and a guided tour of Kuala Kangsar as well. The SARS Gold is a privately owned train which operates on the Trans-Siberian route. So this is between Beijing and Moscow. So there's a few different trains that operate when a client says they want to do the Trans-Siberian. One of these is the SARS Gold. So it runs between Beijing and Moscow. Westbound is 15 days, so they get 2 nights in Beijing. If they do Moscow to Beijing, sorry, it's 16 days, so it's 1 extra night in Beijing if they choose to do Moscow to Beijing direction. As you can see, stunning facilities on board. Everything's included, so your excursions and your entrance fees. You've got an exclusive train ride along the Lake Baikal with 2 extensive photo stops as well. So you actually get about 40 hours at Lake Baikal, so they're not very brief and fast stops, which is nice. On-board programs include lectures on local history, culture and everyday life, and then all your meals are included. So beverages are not included on the SARS Gold, and these are an additional cost. Your pre and post hotel accommodation is also included in Beijing and Moscow as well for the SARS. But the road to Mandalay is a little bit different and unique because, as you can see, it is not a train, it is a boat cruise. So yes, we do offer this. It is one of the Balmond products. So this cruise runs between Mandalay and Bagan. It is 3 and 4 nights itineraries, depending on what you choose. All meals are included on board, and beautiful luxury accommodation on board, and experiences are all included as well. So the boat itself is an elegant Burmese material style with all air conditioned throughout. It has 4 decks. It accommodates up to 82 passengers in 43 cabins. So it's quite a small, unique, exclusive journey, which is really nice. And as I said, not a rail journey, but we do sell it. And last but not least, we have the Golden Eagle luxury trains. So when people say the Golden Eagle, there's not just one, there's actually 2 they operate. So between Russia and Central Asia is the Golden Eagle, and in Europe is the Danube Express. So these are really beautiful, fine travelling. They're very popular as well. You do need to book well in advance. You get access to remote regions on these trains, which is really nice. It takes you to the heart of the destinations, and it's very first-class customer service on board. Basically, a luxury hotel on wheels, really. It will a typical day on board will be after breakfast. The guests will be taken away on coach or minibus to explore sites where they've stopped before they return to the train at the end of the day with complimentary refreshments. So they actually spend a lot of time, most of the day, off the train experiencing the destination. The train travels through the night while they sleep, so they are getting to experience the destination during the day, and they're all in private cabins. You get pre-dinner drinks in the lounge cars before they have a beautiful huge dinner with international cuisine. So some days can be spent partly or entirely off board, some can be spent partly or entirely on board. So it is a range of what they will get to see and experience on and off the train. They also have onboard language lessons, talks on the local history and culture as well, all included. So as you know, our contact details are here. So we have now changed to Rail Europe. So the email is info@Rail Europe. Phone number still remains the same. Anything Great Train Journeys is to the below one. So anything for Asia that's not luxury, you can come through to the general reservation team. But anything luxury that I mentioned at the end will go to the Great Train Journeys team. Now, does anyone have any questions as I have been through that really fast? So we don't have any by the look of it. You can always email me if you have any questions as well, and then this will be sent to you, the recording. You can share it with your colleagues as well for anyone that's missed it, and it will be put up on our website too. So thank you very much for joining me this morning. I hope that you learned a little bit about Asia, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good one. Bye.